Pippo Baudo by Ciro Discepolo, astrological portrait drawn in February 1984. Every Sunday afternoon for at least 10 minutes, 60 million eyes watch Pippo Baudo, a charming, good-looking, law graduate Sicilian entertainer, actor, pop composer, singer, and a true all-round showman. Versatile, eclectic, and a man of entertainment, our man, like a true Gemini, manages to keep viewers' fingers glued to the remote control for hours on end on Sunday afternoons, from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. in that great television magazine that is Domenica in... According to his own definition, Baudo has succeeded in inventing a cocktail of entertainment, music, culture, and information. A television marathon supported by a near-perfect organization that manages to package a product that is envied even abroad. Not that there is a lack of criticism, but beyond that the numbers speak for themselves. A very high rating, with an approval rating of over 77%, it is undoubtedly the flagship of Rete 1. Among the opposing opinions we note the decidedly ironic one from Corrado, who preceded Pippo at the helm of the extremely popular television show. With the arrival of Baudo, Italian television has acquired a completely unsuspected cultural dimension. Through Pippo, for example, we learn to give proper weight to expressions like in hoc signo vinces. But Baudo possesses another great virtue, that of knowing how to entertain his guests. They often manage to insert a few words of their own into the sea of eloquence he uses to demonstrate that he is more knowledgeable than the guest himself. Needless to say, viewers are pleasantly surprised by all this, because they understand that the guest is a useless burden, since Pippo already knows everything on his own. But that's precisely the point. Baudo knows everything and knows how to do it. Everything. Playing, singing, acting, entertaining. We have to give him credit for that. Others are even harsher, like Ruggero Guarini. He doesn't know how to do anything, but he's a professional. There's a song from many years ago presented at the San Remo Music Festival by Antoine, some may remember it, that went something like this. If you're beautiful, they throw stones at you. If you're ugly, they throw stones at you, whatever you do. Well, that seems to be our case. Without wishing to celebrate the national Pippo, we must also consider that in the last few years, we have found a presenter with a decent basic culture, who keeps himself well informed and who is the architect of a major operation, bringing culture to a light-hearted television show. Alongside the pop songs and football matches every Sunday, in the stands of Domenica in, we discuss cinema, literature, politics, and so on. The language isn't lofty or cardinal, but simple, accessible to most, and this, we believe, is a positive aspect. At this point, two questions arise. What is the professional key to Baudo's success, and what is the celestial key? Regarding the latter, we know that the subject doesn't believe in astrology at all, but he does so wrongly because he doesn't give credit to his ruling Jupiter, the mid-heaven, the celestial architect of his earthly success. Regarding his professional trump card, the secret, in our opinion, lies in one thing. Pippo Baudo is a born journalist, as his horoscope teaches, and whether he realizes it or not, he manages to frame his super television show in a journalistic vein, achieving excellent practical effects precisely because he manages to give people what they want at the right time. He knows how to be current and satisfy the public's curiosity. Our Pippo's journalistic streak is evident in his birth chart, in a stellium, planetary grouping, in the third house. Mercury, Venus, the Sun, and Mars are conjunct in the third house, the house of journalism, and moreover in the sign of Gemini, which is also closely linked to journalism. Baudo is a born journalist, and we are certain will sooner or later choose this path as his primary professional career. Primary, however, not only because, as a true Gemini, he needs to work on multiple fronts simultaneously to avoid boredom. As Peter Van Wood says, Geminis are the only ones who can fry 2 eggs while reading the newspaper. Another highly successful ingredient of his professionalism is undoubtedly physical strength. Pippo possesses a wealth of it, with Aries rising in the Sun-Mars conjunction at about 1 degree of his orb. Strength, dynamism, and overwhelming energy are ingredients that work in a program like the lights in a restaurant. The more, the better. Think of Domenica in a component placement hosted by the quiet and melancholic nature of a Paolo Fraese or a Giulio Bossetti. After a few minutes of rapt fascination, the viewers would certainly fall asleep in front of the small screen, which would continue to uselessly flash images in environments now ruled by the god Morpheus alone. Pippo Baudo, on the other hand, is like 10 cups of coffee drunk simultaneously. His is a genuine enthusiasm, fueled precisely by Mars, that captivates and never bores. If on occasion he lets it get excessive, never mind. No one's perfect. Excess is also a characteristic of his, sometimes negatively. The Sun-Mars conjunction is opposite Jupiter in Sagittarius. These are valences that tend to inflate the ego, to mortify the little humility within him. Thus it happened that one afternoon, ex cathedra, he declared with the utmost certainty possible that Pertini cannot be re-elected because it would be unconstitutional, which, however, is not true. His certainty, mistaken by many for presumption, has earned him a fair amount of hostility, for example regarding his book reviews. Literary critics see this as an interdisciplinary overreach, a territorial invasion by a layperson, and they protest vigorously. Meanwhile, his reviews are highly sought after by authors and publishers because they dramatically boost his book sales. Because of this power ours wields, Luciano de Crescenzo calls Pippo the most important literary critic in Italy. But, as Enzo Biaggi observes, if this makes people read more books, even a layperson's contribution is welcome. And then, let's be frank, why such an all-out defense of a class privilege? Is Baudo, as a reader, perhaps incapable of having his say on a book? Then let's censor everything, even the advertising. If Baudo intellectualizes his show, this, in our opinion, is more worthy of the twists offered by Mike Bongiorno, the sentimentality of Tortora's former Portobello, and the arrogant good nature of Corrado. Many say Baudo is the idol of concierge, but, as someone observed, it's hard to imagine an audience of over 10 million concierges, while it's more reasonable to believe that his way of entertaining people appeals to the average TV viewer, from the worker to the intellectual. The other dominant of his birth chart, Saturn on the ascendant, positions him better for the cultural rather than the frivolous aspect of his broadcasts. Even his 1.90 meter height fits better on screen if his arms and legs aren't forced to wiggle too much to improvise a song or dance. We were talking earlier about the success linked to his Jupiter dominance. Well, that came in 1972 when he hosted Canzonissima for the first time, coinciding with the primary direction of the ascendant trining Jupiter, and the latter transiting the midheaven, as any good transit manual teaches. Uranus was simultaneously trine the Sun and Mars. Neptune, 3 degrees Sagittarius, was 120 degrees from the ascendant. At this point, a prediction is legitimate. Speaking of predictions, the newspaper reports claiming the writer predicted the Christian Democrats' defeat in the last general election are false. 1984, 1985, and 1986 will be years of even greater professional growth for Pippo Baudo. Indeed, we see that Jupiter will pass again on his midheaven and in the 10th house, and we also notice primary directions, midheaven at 120 degrees Mars and Jupiter at 120 degrees Mercury, the start of his almost full-time career as a journalist. In any case, the presenter's star shows no sign of waning, and he seems to have every intention of becoming a second Mike Bongiorno, obviously in the sense of popularity measured over decades. We wish him all the best.